The gentle nudge of my hip was a playful tease as we moved around the kitchen, his laughter filling the space. Then I dropped the bombshell. She asked if I'd share. I told her you'd answer. His smile faltered as he turned towards the hallway, his eyes widening as he saw her standing there. Before you read on, hit that like button, subscribe, and stick around. You won't want to miss what happens when the quiet ones stop waiting for permission. My wine glass stem tilted as I brushed past him. Not hard, just enough to make him laugh and steady the cutting board. He chuckled, catching my elbow. Careful, you're getting bold. I smiled over the rim of my glass. Maybe. Soft jazz drifted from the speaker above the fridge, a relaxed melody that hinted at a dance we never quite shared. Barefoot, we were, and the air still carried the scent of lemon and sea salt from the simmering marinade. He returned to the cutting board, sweeping the last of the red pepper into the bowl. I stepped behind him, close enough to peer over his shoulder. She asked if we'd be up for company, I said lightly. He paused, his hand frozen above the bowl. Who did? He asked, still smiling, but his voice held a trace of surprise. I leaned in, my voice calm. I told her you'd be the one to answer. He started to speak, but I subtly tilted my head toward the hallway. That's when he saw her. She leaned against the wall, arms folded, wearing the floral blue dress we'd picked out 2 summers ago, the one with tiny buttons and short, tied sleeves. Her hair was loosely pinned, a few curls framing her face as she raised an eyebrow and smiled. My husband blinked, still holding the spoon. I handed him the extra glass I'd poured. For her, I said, then walked into the living room, my dress catching the light. I didn't look back, but I heard their quiet footsteps following. The cushions yielded as I sat, one knee angled loosely, wine glass still in hand. I didn't look up immediately, I just listened. Then I heard her. The rustle of fabric, the soft shift of the couch as she sat beside him, closer than I expected. They didn't speak, but he became incredibly still. His posture didn't change, except for the subtle way his shoulders pulled back, as if sensing the narrowing space between them. He rested an open hand on the cushion beside him. She glanced down, then calmly folded her hands in her lap, eyes fixed forward. I didn't know if now was the right time, she said, her voice steady but low, conveying genuine sentiment. He didn't reply, still watching her, unsure whether to answer or wait. My arm rested along the back of the couch, not touching, just present. My expression had softened, no longer quite a smile. It was the look you wear when everything is still, but your pulse isn't. She turned to me slowly, her sleeve slipping. You said he'd take a moment, she murmured. I met her gaze, gave a slight nod, then reached for the wine glass I'd set down earlier. He remained still, observing us both, not reacting, just assessing the atmosphere. She looked at him, her expression unreadable, then let her gaze drift downward before returning to his face. You're thinking too hard, she said. I leaned forward slightly, reaching across him for the bottle on the table, pausing as I found it. The motion brought me close enough to feel his breath shift. Not quite toward me, not quite away. You don't have to say anything, I said quietly. Just breathe. He exhaled, a long, slow, audible breath that broke the tension. She then crossed her legs at the ankle, smoothing her dress as she settled deeper into the seat. My arm remained on the back of the couch, and I felt the energy in the room settle slightly, not gone, just grounded. And none of us spoke the understanding that had settled between us. She adjusted her posture beside him, the soft rustle of fabric breaking the quiet. No one spoke. The kitchen music played on, but we were no longer truly hearing it. He sat still, not rigid, just grounded. His shoulders rose once, like a breath he'd tried to conceal. I noticed his gaze moving between us now, no longer pretending he didn't know where this was headed. I leaned slightly from the other side, arms resting on the back cushion, steady. I didn't touch him. I didn't need to. The space between us already felt charged. He turned his head slightly, just enough to glance in my direction. That was all. I met his eyes, then looked down towards his collar, not to act, but to observe. My expression didn't shift, but I could feel the intense focus in the air, as if everything had narrowed to this moment. She looked over at him, hands folded. Then, slowly, she reached for the edge of his sleeve and smoothed the cuff. Her movements were calm, steady, a small, deliberate, unspoken gesture. He glanced down at her hand, then back up again. My arm rested along the back of the couch, present but not touching. I could see the change in his breathing, no longer shallow, just aware. She gave the smallest nod, then adjusted the fabric of her dress at the knee, smoothing it flat as she shifted her weight. Her posture turned slightly towards him, careful and composed. He didn't move at first. Then his hand rested gently on the couch between them, not reaching, just close enough for her to see. I leaned forward slightly to pick up the wine bottle from the table, pausing at the edge of his line of sight, not to interrupt, just to be seen. She looked at me then, one eyebrow lifted, a question I didn't answer aloud. He glanced between us, and though no one moved, the moment held. Not heavy, not silent, just full, like the tension that sometimes arises when unspoken understandings fill a room. She shifted forward slightly, hands braced on the cushion as she looked down at him. I stayed close behind, one arm resting loosely along the top of the couch, my hand lightly near his shoulder, not touching, just there, just steady. His posture was still, but his focus had changed. You could see it in how long he held each breath, and how his head tilted slightly toward me, as if grounding himself in the moment. Her movements were calm, deliberate. She adjusted the edge of his shirt where it had bunched at the side, smoothing it gently before glancing up toward me. I gave the smallest nod, and between the two of us, we helped ease the sleeves off his shoulders, just enough to let him relax without adjusting anything himself. The fabric rested loosely across his lap. He didn't resist. He didn't move either. His eyes stayed forward, not quite focused. The room felt heavier now. Not loud, not rushed, just suspended. She let her fingers hover near his shoulder, not pressing, just staying close enough to be noticed. He shifted slightly as if he wasn't expecting the attention. His head tilted back a little in my direction, and I let my hand stay near the back of his neck, not guiding, just steadying. His eyes stayed closed for a moment. She let her hand settle just over the fabric near his chest, not a move for reaction, just connection. He took a deeper breath, then let it ease out slowly as if he was letting the moment meet him. Her gaze moved between us, then landed near his hands, which remained still at his sides. She didn't say anything, just rested her hand near one of his, close enough for him to feel it there. I did the same on the other side, not holding, just letting him know we were both nearby. Something softened in him after that. Not a reaction, just a shift. His shoulders lowered a little. He exhaled slower, as if letting go of whatever he'd been carrying. She shifted her seat, folding one leg underneath herself, her dress settling around her as she did. The fabric rustled lightly against the cushion, then stilled. He leaned back more, settling into the support behind him. I brushed his hair back gently from his face. His eyes stayed closed, not from withdrawal, just from taking in the quiet. She paused again, her hands still, her attention calm, not expecting anything, just remaining with him. I leaned slightly, just enough for him to hear. "She's staying tonight," I said. He met my eyes again, still silent, but I could tell he understood.